I bought a Century home that was destroyed by a developer, and I'm going to fix it. Hi everyone, Ken here. Welcome to my house. This charming arts and crafts style bungalow has been through a myriad of terrible flips from various developers. I've already begun the process of putting it back together and imagining what it might have looked like during its former glory. I've already gotten a head start on some of the projects just to help bring my vision to life about what this house really could be. Now, before we go inside and we see what the developer did to this house and how I plan to fix it, I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about the arts and crafts movement. The arts and crafts movement, which blossomed in the late 19th century, originated from a profound desire to reform design standards. The catalyst for this reform was the Great Exhibition of 1851, where many perceived a decline in design standards associated with the rise of mass production. Notable critics, including the likes of Henry Cole, Owen Jones, and Richard Redgrave, lamented exhibited items, viewing them as excessively ornate and lacking in appreciation for the inherent qualities of their materials. They criticized these products for their vulgarity and detail, and for presenting novelty without beauty. In response, several influential publications emerged, such as Jones's Grammar of Ornament and Redgrave's Manual of Design, which articulated principles of genuine design, arguing against fast fashion. A key distinction of the arts and crafts movement, in contrast to the earlier design reformers, was that it was attempting to save ancient building techniques before construction skills were lost forever to machines. The core essence of this movement was its rejection of factory-made, frivolous ornamentation in favor of handmade, thoughtful design. It championed the belief in the integrity of design, where utility precedes ornamentation, and the value of craftsmanship is paramount. Many people point to the arts and crafts movement as the first time that modern design really stretched out to the masses. The style influenced the likes of Frank Lloyd Wright, who would later take these long horizontal lines and create the prairie style right here in Oak Park where my house is located. Without further ado, let's go inside and start checking it out. Entering my house, we arrive in a small vestibule where behind me there are some built-in cabinets. Now these are obviously not original to the house, these are going to be replaced with something that's more period appropriate. But we won't get hung up there. Let's keep walking into the house until we arrive in the parlor. As we look around, you'll notice that all of the millwork is painted. However, I believe that this is the original millwork from when this house was constructed. With the millwork being painted, I do believe that it will be possible to scrape it down and expose what is potentially oak underneath. Most of the homes in this neighborhood have both oak parlors and oak dining rooms, so I have my fingers crossed that whenever I begin that process, we're going to find some really warm wood tones underneath. Now, something that has already been started is the doors have started to be scraped of their paint, and let's take a look at this really rich wood grain here. On the other side of the living room, I have these two small windows on either side of the couch. When I have completed my restoration in this room, these small windows will have art glass inside of them. And down here, where the couch is right now, there will be a fireplace with built-in half-height bookcases on either side of it. And we can take a look at this old catalog to kind of gain a sense of what this will actually look like. And whether or not this was actually here when the house was constructed, it is true to the style, and while it's not original, it's definitely historic to the arts and crafts bungalow. Where I'm standing right now, in front of this large opening, I believe there used to be a colonnade. If we look down at the floor, we can see where it has been patched and where potentially columns would have been anchored. So I would like to explore the possibility of bringing back a couple of columns in the arts and crafts style. And as we look around the parlor, just imagine it with the fireplace, the built-in bookcases, all of the white paint is gone, it has been stripped, and there's just this warm wood just glowing in this room. I think it's going to be so cozy. With all of that in mind, let's continue into the dining room. The dining room is going to be my showstopper. This is going to be the room that I probably end up putting the most effort into. Before we go through my plans, I want to look back at a previous real estate listing for my house. It shows an original Tiffany & Company chandelier hanging from the ceiling. Whenever I spoke to the neighbors about what might have happened to this, they said that in addition to the chandelier being thrown into a garbage bin, There were also art glass windows on the front of the house that were tossed in alongside it. I'm not going to restore the front porch, however, I do have other plans to bring that kind of ambiance back into this house. With an arts and crafts style chandelier anchoring this room visually, we're going to need some accents to really tie it all together. As you can see behind me, I have this large glass block window. This is going to be changed out for stained glass in a very simple geometric motif. I'm still kind of deciding exactly what I want, though I have a feeling that if I take enough trips down to the salvage shop, I'll end up finding the perfect piece. And of course, we can't just have the stained glass sitting up there by itself. We're going to integrate the sill into the rest of the room. With arts and crafts style dining rooms, it was common to have oversized wainscoting topped off by a plate rail. And I'll show you what I mean by that by looking back at this old catalog. Here we can see board and batten rising up to a plate rail that wraps all the way around the room. And from here we can display various antique pieces such as porcelains, china, what have you. And then up at the ceiling, something really interesting has been done. If we take a look up here at the crown molding, there's a gap between the upper layer of crown and some drywall that's been laid over the ceiling. One of my neighbors has a very similar house to this, and they have exposed oak beams running along their ceiling. And another thing that just makes me question this is these ceilings in here are 8 foot 7.5 inches. Theirs are 9.5 feet. So what is this ceiling hiding, and how can I get to it? I'm going to need to do some further investigation to find out. I was hoping that I could have gained a glimpse of this when I went to fix the electric in this house. However, all I ended up doing was changing out the electric box and putting the chandelier back up. At some point, I'm going to get up into the attic and find out what exactly is there. Speaking of the attic, this is a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house. According to tax records from the 1970s and 1980s, this was actually a 5-bedroom, 3-bathroom house. If we take a look at these pictures that I took up in the attic, we can see that it's completely empty, and I'm not sure why it was gutted, why these rooms were taken out, but as of right now, there is nothing up there, and I plan on bringing back that additional square footage and those additional bedrooms and bathroom into my house. Off of the dining room is what I believe to be the original den. This is now set up as a guest bedroom. Come on in here and I'm going to show you a couple interesting details about this room. Behind this closet door is what I believe to be the original staircase that would have gone up to the second floor. One of my neighbors has a very similar house to this, and this is exactly where their second floor staircase takes them up. So my plan in here is to knock down this wall behind me and create a really elegant staircase that rises up with maybe some bookcases that are built in to create a formal library and kind of a gateway to the second floor that just feels really cozy and warm. Making our way back towards the front of the house, we are going to see the main bedroom, and we can take a look back at that old catalog that I showed you earlier to see that this is fairly typical to have the bedrooms arranged off of the public rooms of arts and crafts style houses. This not only creates a more cozy and inviting atmosphere, but it helps to really integrate all of the spaces and make sure that there aren't any too formal or stuffy rooms, but that each space is really being used by the whole family. So come on in here, and I'm going to show you some of my plans for what I have in store for the main bedroom. I've already been really busy in this room, getting rid of layers of paint and sanding down the walls to their plaster and lathe. Now that it's done and it's primed, I'm looking for wallpaper, but not just any wallpaper. I want to find a William Morris reproduction. And here's what some of that looks like. So as we look at this room, just imagine that it's filled with this really beautiful floral wallpaper that harkens back to this simplified version of nature. And I think the addition of this wallpaper will give this room that timeless and charming touch that it really needs. We've seen most of the old part of the house. Let's make our way back out into the public rooms and go straight back to the newer addition that's on the home. As we pass from the older part of the house to the newer part of the house, we're going to notice that somewhere along the line, one of the developers did something really terrible to the millwork. They cut down the other side of this passageway and basically inserted a new basement door. This is not where the original stairs are to the basement. We'll see that in a moment. But come on through here and we'll kind of explore some of these things. Directly across from the basement door is the door to the bathroom. Now this is one of the original doors in the house. It has tongue and groove, it has this beautiful wood grain, and it's sanded down gorgeously. I could not be happier with how this turned out. Now the bathroom itself is not original. However, this is one of the few things that I really did not mind about what the developer did to this house. Once again, the glass block window is going to go. I'm going to have a piece of art glass custom commissioned to fit this opening. The floors are a dotted basket weave, which is true for the time period. And true to the arts and crafts style, we have subway tile with black bullnose trimming it out. Whether it was subway tile or square tile, this motif would have been found in this bathroom at the time of the home's construction. And as we make our way back out into the hallway, we'll notice that there's another door that I still need to scrape and sand off, but I have a feeling that it's going to be just as beautiful as the other doors that have already had this work done. The most recent developer to touch this house added this new kitchen onto the back, and this used to be originally a lot smaller. Back when this house was constructed, kitchens were really simple. You would have had an oversized pedestal sink, an icebox, some sort of storage for food, and then a large table in the middle of the room where you could prepare your meals. Obviously, that is not conducive to modern living standards, so I'm actually pretty okay with the kitchen upgrade. Here we have white shaker cabinets with brass pulls, quartz countertops, and stainless steel appliances. And I absolutely love this kitchen. I do a lot of cooking, so it's nice to have all this counter space and all of these modern amenities right here in my own home. Once I've stripped the paint off the millwork and exposed the warm wood tones, the white cabinets might appear a bit jarring in comparison. So I'm okay with the idea of potentially painting the cabinets at some point. However, I don't think I'll be replacing the kitchen because it's brand new, and I'd rather focus my resources on other projects in the restoration of this house. Behind this door is where the stairs to the basement would have originally been. However, since those have been moved, a new room has been put there, and this is where the magic happens. And by magic, I mean this is where I write all of my scripts. This is my home office. And while this room is a newer addition, someone had the foresight to install a picture rail which is period appropriate for the space. 5 days a week, you can find me in this room, sitting down at this very desk, writing the scripts that I read for this house. Before we go downstairs and check out the finished basement, let's go out these sliding glass doors and I'll tell you guys a little bit about some plans I have to add on to the back of the house. A big part of arts and crafts style homes are their sunrooms or their enclosed porches. And since I really love having the open front porch and those windows are already gone, I want to see if I can find some arts and crafts style art glass that I can enclose this deck with to create a proper conservatory. Coming back inside, we're now going to make our way down to the finished basement. When my partner and I were looking at houses, he wanted something that was newer, like mid-century modern. I wanted something that was much older, possibly from the Victorian era. So we came to a good compromise that I could have that really old-fashioned and charming upstairs interior, while he could have a much newer basement. So let's go downstairs, and this is where we kind of break away from the arts and crafts tradition, but not entirely. Let's go on down and check it out. The staircase behind me is in the middle of being remodeled. Not exactly per our plan. I was going to put this off for a little while. However, when a delivery company was bringing a couch downstairs, they ended up busting out the entire railing and spindles, all of that. So it is what it is, just one more project for me to do, and probably my next project, honestly. Now this is a good spot to point out one of those things that one of the developers did to the house. Come over here and just check this out. So we have this gorgeous beadboard running below the tread here, and then we have this random piece of wood. Well, this is not nailed in. It is Velcroed on there. So these are the types of little issues that I keep finding popping up around the house where I'm just like, why didn't someone take 5 minutes to do it right? I mean, it doesn't even take 5 minutes to put a couple nails in. Someone actually had to peel sticky tape and put Velcro. It's beyond me. But anyways, let's keep looking at the rest of the basement. In a basement from this time period, it would not have been finished out. It would have been mostly just storage and taken up by a large furnace and whatever else really needed to be down here, but for the most part, it would not have been living area. That's why I'm okay with this kind of being a newer and more modern space. However, it's still going to tie to the rest of the house, especially whenever I have a grand newel post at the bottom of the stairs that just ties the upstairs into the basement. Now, we have done a lot of work down here so far. Let's go ahead and look at this before picture. We can see that there's just this awful yellow paint on the walls. The columns were just boxed in. They weren't finished out in any way. Something I've already done is I've taken the initiative to go ahead and properly finish out the columns. I looked up different styles for arts and crafts and craftsman styled columns to come up with this design, and I decided to paint it black because that's what my partner wanted, and honestly I think it's pretty cool. But if at any point we ever wanted to tie this back into the upstairs living area, we can always paint over them, or I can do a faux wood grain to tie it in with whatever ends up being underneath the millwork upstairs. The basement is really a combination of a studio and media room, very much a live and work environment. Over here is where we edit all the videos, and this is the microphone where I record everything for this house. On the other side of the basement is where we start winding down for the night. This is our media room where we sit down, we watch movies, we play with the cats, and this space is really kind of the heart of our home in the evenings. Now, there's still some things that we are doing here. You'll notice we have a super colorful rug. We plan on incorporating more colors like that in the form of movie posters, better window treatments, and maybe some little decorations that just really tie it together and make it a lively space. Let's go ahead and make our way back upstairs. We're going to skip some of the rooms in the basement, such as the full bathroom with steam shower, the mudroom, the laundry room, and a few other little spaces. Now, let's go upstairs and answer some of your questions. Thank you all for joining me on the tour of my house. It's been so much fun to show you around and to explain my vision with you. And Dalton here, he's the other half of this house. He does all the video editing. He wanted to end the video in a very special way by reading off your questions for me. So Dalton, what did the fans ask?
Jenny asks, why did you move? How did you choose this house?
We wanted a change of pace, and we thought Chicago would be an awesome place to set down our roots, as we're in the middle of filming 3 different hour-long documentaries based here in Chicago with various organizations around town. Now, whenever it comes to how we chose this house, we saw homes that were bigger, we saw homes that were more expensive, we saw homes that were more complete. But when our realtor wanted to show us this one, originally I thought she was crazy, there's no way we're gonna like it, but okay, we'll go ahead and see it anyways. When I walked in, I saw what she saw. It was like this blank canvas just ready to be decorated the way I saw fit. And being that it still had so many of its original elements, but lacked so many others, it just sparked this kind of creative fire in me that really made me want to get in there and save this house and put it back to the way it should be.
Ashley asks, which Gilded Age home or interior designs are your favorite, and do you plan on adding any of those elements to your home?
Yes, Ashley, I do. As far as my favorites, I like a lot of different styles as long as they're done correctly, and I'm choosing to stick with the arts and crafts style because I feel it's the most true to this house. Now, as far as specific examples, I look at mansions like Drake Hall and Centerville. They've been kind enough to go ahead and allow me to use this photo for this video. We can see in Drake Hall's dining room, there is this beautiful rich wood wainscoting with the plate rail and these built-in cabinets with glass panes for you to put all of your fine china on display. And that is very much the look that I'm going for in my own dining room.
Steven asks, what is something that you own in the home that makes your life ultra enjoyable?
I would have to say that my favorite thing in this house is probably the pink blanket. The pink blanket is something that Miss Roscoe likes to play with all the time. She'll sit there and wrestle with it, and it is just hilarious to watch her get worked up over it, and I have no idea why, but it's a 10 out of 10 for her. All right, well, if you at home have any questions for me, go ahead and drop them down in the comments section. And also, I'd be curious to know if you all would like to watch as I restore the house. So maybe as I do the living room and then the dining room and the attic and a few of these other projects. If that's something that sounds like it would be interesting for you to watch, go ahead and leave a like on this video. And then comment below which room you're most excited to see transformed. As always, thank you all for watching, and make sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss the future updates on this house. I'd also like to extend a very special thank you to our members whose names you can see on screen right now. I'll see you next time on This House.